I just started Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before by Dr. Julie Smith. I just felt like it was a time to revisit these principles. Let's just talk about how the very first page of this book, of the introduction, could be a master class of introductions, especially if you have thought about writing your own book or something similar to it. If you have a copy of this book, look at just the first page introduction. One important thing to notice is this is an informational book by a clinical psychologist, but she starts the introduction with storytelling. The human brain is wired to connect to storytelling. She puts you in the scene by describing where she is, what she's looking at. She also subtly drops in comfort signals of how the person was behaving. And she ends the first paragraph with the person in the story saying, I know it's going to be hard, but I know that I can do it. She's basically bringing up the desire of the reader by mentioning this, by using the person in this story. If you read that the person in the stories ended with, I know it's going to be hard, but I know I can do it, you now attribute that feeling to yourself. You identify with that desire. And that is something that you want. So therefore, you are going to feel more intrigued and continue to read on. She mentions a transformation before even saying what the transformation is. So your brain is prepared for a transformation. You know there's a transformation or there's a payoff at the end. You don't have to sit and wonder if there is a payoff. And you are going to want a payoff or to know what the payoff is. Instead of just saying how the woman felt, she uses emotional words that are universally understood in order to create a connection, or actually to strengthen the connection that has already been made. She uses literary techniques to make her sentences flow better, such as saying change and challenge, directly followed by a feeling of empowerment. She says that the person transformed not because of her, Dr. Julie Smith, but because we all have the ability to transform, giving a feeling of empowerment. So do you see how underneath her sentences of this story are triggers that we are going to want, we're going to connect to, or we are going to feel? She says that she was just the educator. She wasn't like this miracle worker. She didn't do this grand things. It's just that she has the tools from her expertise, and she was able to give those tools to the person in the story. By saying, I was just the educator, she is making your goal also seem attainable. Something else interesting that she does in the first page is something that separates people who get results in certain businesses from other people who have like a missing element and they can't figure out what it is, which is that she says what she went against. When you say what you went against or what you are not, it makes you actually more like the expert in your field. Because she says, I passed on insights about what the science says and what has worked for others. So this lets you know that she is not just regurgitating whatever is in every other book and on the internet and all of these things. She is a real person with real expertise, and this gives you a feeling of a like code that is going to be cracked. And she puts more emotion in it of hope. When you read about the element of hope, you are going to want to continue on that route. And then lastly, she ends the page with an important sentence of, she started dealing with difficult situations in healthy new ways. So she brings the premise of the whole book back around by stating the person in the story started dealing with difficult situations in healthy new ways. This is exactly the purpose of the book. is to learn how to deal with difficult situations in healthy new ways. So she brings us on a whole journey and transformational arc within one page. And that is what is going to keep a person reading and buy the book. A lot of people will just open up to the first page to get a sense of the style and personality of, do they want to invest their time or money into this book? And she does such a good job of doing this that I feel like it should be analyzed. On page 2,